What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania 42, which is happening this weekend over Saturday and Sunday. So we're going to break down both nights of the card. Going to give our predictions of what's going to happen, who we think is going to win these matches, what we're excited about, what we're not excited about, and everything that we usually do here. If you don't know who we are, I am Tony Mango, and I am joined as always by Rob DeFelice.
Hey.
And Callum Wiggins.
Hey.
And all of you, of course, are joining us as well. So make sure that you chime in with your thoughts about these different things. You know, as we go along here, we give our opinions, drop a comment, tell us what you think about either our opinions or about what you think is going to happen and all that. And there are so many different ways for you to do that. If you're on any kind of platform that has a comment section, leave a comment there. SmarkOutMoment.com, of course, is a great way to just leave a comment. You've got our Discord channel. Pop on over to that server and have some fun and chat it up at any point in time for, you know, anything. It's AEW thing, WWE thing, whatever it might be. Share some memes, have some fun. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, ring your notification bell, and get that email alert set up because there will be a post show immediately following both of these shows, like per usual with all the pay-per-views. And if you are unaware of when I go live, that's the best way of becoming aware of it. If you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, Patreon is a great way to do it. YouTube channel membership is the exact same thing as Patreon. I think a little bit better overall because you get access to, like, if we do live things, for instance. And I still haven't figured out what we're going to do when it comes to the Hall of Fame. It's a possibility, but maybe a live thing if I'm watching it around that time. Maybe not otherwise busy or something. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Kind of depends on how excited people are about that. And Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can pick up some merchandise if you're interested in that. I will preface this episode with one thing. If you can't tell already, I am sick. My voice is going to be very nasally and low energy, and I will be clearing my throat and coughing throughout this episode, but not much I can do about that. So sorry about that, everybody. The enthusiasm that I have, or the lack thereof, enthusiasm, translates to some of these matches, but I do think some of them are going to be pretty good. My overall opinion about this WrestleMania this year is it's very much not what they would have wanted. It's very much not what I would have wanted in a lot of the matches. But I do feel like with the amount of injuries that they had and the plans that had to change and everything, they put together a card that overall, it's not bad. It's just the execution to get to it and the storytelling to get to it and the complete bonkers, dumb ideas that go along with it that they could have changed. Those things I don't have excuses for in the same way that I do for, like, man, it sucks that Braun Breaker's not doing anything on this card. Or like, oh, it sucks that they couldn't do Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill or whatever it might be. Those what ifs, I give them a little bit of a pass. When it comes to something like Seth Rollins and Gunther, the story could be a little better. Or, you know, AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, the story could be a little better, you know, like those kind of things. So you're going to see a variety of opinions about some of these things. I'm going to be both very harsh and very lenient on certain things. But I'm not going into this WrestleMania. There you go. That'll be the way that I am referring to it. This year's WrestleMania with any kind of real, like, buzz. It doesn't feel like WrestleMania to me. Does it feel like it to you guys?
So I'm coming into this from a very unique position this year. As most of you know, if you follow me or this podcast, this first year, I'm not working in wrestling media. So I have not been following closely with a lot of the TV shows the way I normally would have in any other year throughout my entire life, nor have I, like, really bunkered down to see everything that's going on in terms of what the hype is, what the buzz is. But I will say, in the moments that I have seen, there are some really high highs for me. But when the lows are there, they're very, very low. And I think a lot of that does have to do with some of the injuries that plagued the build to this card. But ultimately, I think I'm coming away from this thinking the Raw side of things is carrying the card, but there's one ugly pimple from SmackDown that is kind of going to take over the Saturday card. But yeah, I would say I'm excited.
I mean, from my perspective, at this time of my life and my non-fandom of WWE, like literally any week could be WrestleMania, and I still wouldn't care, and I still wouldn't know that it's happening. Like, I mean, I'm only on this because I feel obligated to be to a degree, and also like, it's fun to just rip on these people when I can then just tune into AEW or something, and then just like, okay, I'll always be satisfied with that in terms of overall for the wrestling side of things. But looking at this, it feels like very skippable, and it doesn't feel like there are many matches here that give me a sense of like, oh well, this is a real WrestleMania match rather than one that I could see on practically any pay-per-view that you're going to do. Which, like, you're not going to get that for every match because, quite frankly, you can't do that for every match. But it doesn't feel like a special show. And so, as you pointed out, there are very much extenuating circumstances for that, but there are also just blatant poor booking decisions, and there are certain people that can't be on this card due to injury, which is a shame, but there are certain people that can be on this card that aren't injured or are available and won't find a place onto this show, which for me feels a little bit incorrect considering some of the people that are on the show.
So the people that aren't on the show, that's a great topic to start off with before getting into the actual matches that we do have. Obviously, a lot of them are not on the show because they're injured. I mentioned Bianca Belair, Braun Breaker. I still think Braun Breaker is going to be part of the show, but that's a different story we'll get into in a little bit. I have a list of, I think it's around 32 people it's 33 people that I have that are on the main roster right now that aren't injured and don't have something where they're guaranteed to be on there. For instance, and that's just men alone. The women, you add way more than 32 then. Somebody like, say, on the women's side, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, like they might be with Liv just like ringside, but they don't have anything to do on the show. And the 33, 34, whatever men that are on there, a good amount of them are not really in a position where it's like, man, why isn't Cruz del Toro or Ivar or I don't know.
Okay, hold on. Let me stop you right there because you said you had a list of 34, and I know those two weren't on the list.
No, they are.
Like,
as far because I just wrote down every man that's on the main roster that isn't booked yet, and it's like Akira Tozawa is not booked yet. The Creed brothers aren't, and they're not injured, as far as I'm aware. So it's like they technically could be a part of something, but like they haven't done anything in months. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo are not on the show, and it's like some of those names. Yeah, of course you're not going to prioritize having a spot for the Viking Raiders if they've only been on AAA, but it is surprising that certain other people aren't on the show that really should have been. Like, they technically don't have anything going on for the tag team champions, Damian Priest and R-Truth. The Aleister Black's not on the show. The whole feud with El Grande Americano and original El Grande Americano seems like that's just been moved over to AAA. Which is like, that's fine. That's the right call. It's fine to do something like that, but at the same time, they were hovering around that Intercontinental title ladder match, and they're not a part of it, but people that weren't a part of that are a part of it. So it's really weird. And like, they just waited until this past episode of Friday Night SmackDown to be like, remember Royce Keys from the Royal Rumble? Fuck me, that was January. You waited 2 months to bring this guy out, 3 months? And you got to assume that most of these people are going to be in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. So we'll get into that when we do our hot tags on Friday. But, you know, an Aleister Black type or Fraxium or Shinsuke Nakamura, a bunch of those people are not on here. And I do think that it's a shame that they didn't at least do something with like the tag team titles, or, you know, when it goes over to the women's side of things. Why is Julia not defending the United States Championship? Did it just not get announced yet? Is that the reason why night 2 has 6 matches and night 1 has 7? It's because they're going to throw in Tiffany Stratton versus Julia?
They might throw in Tiffany Stratton and Julia on night 2 then.
And it's a question mark of that. It's a question mark of the Io, Sky, and Asuka thing, because there were plenty rumors that they were waiting to see if Nikki Bella was going to be out injured or if she was going to be fine for the match. And if she's fine for the match, then they do something separate. If not, then they might end up putting the Kabuki Warriors in there. But now that Roxanne's back, Roxanne and Raquel might go into that match instead, which is like, okay, so then you don't need the Kabuki Warriors in there. And it's like the way that they've set up a lot of this card, it's very indicative that they don't know what the hell they're doing. Or if they know what they're doing it in a kind of poor execution. And I think that there are a few examples that stand out more than the others of like, this might not have been the way that you were planning, but it at least worked out okay. And then there's some other ones where it's like, yo, this is dog shit. Like, just kind of, come on, man. Like, not to spoil it too much, but like this Pat McAfee thing is shit. And, you know, something like the promotional stuff ahead of time that they're going to do with the first hour being on ESPN 2, I think it is supposed to be. Like, I don't follow
Saturday
any
is
of that.
ESPN 2, Sunday is ESPN proper.
So it'll be
everything you need to know about what they think of the first night of WrestleMania.
So then the 3-hour pre-show that'll be before both nights will be on ESPN Plus and not on ESPN, right?
I believe so.
So they don't want to run that either, probably because there's absolutely no reason to watch that show. But, you know, we're getting that again. 3 fucking hours on both nights.
Hey, last year they sprung on you that they bought a company. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they end up being like, and now we own TNA or now we whatever. I don't know, but you know, that's something to keep in mind too when we come to the Battle Royal on the hot tags. Maybe they throw in like Mr. Iguana or something like that too. Triple A might have some kind of a presence.
I want to talk about the Battle Royal right now because I think there's no fucking reason that the Battle Royal shouldn't be on the show, even if it's on the pre-show or whatever.
I mean, ideally, yeah.
You know, the damn thing was created as a get everybody on the WrestleMania card match. And while that's not always the best solution, there's definitely cause for like, hey, just not only get some people out, you know, the WrestleMania payday, but like get some of the younger people out in front of the Mania crowd. Get like there's no reason why you can't do that just to get someone like a Mello on the card. There's no reason why Io Sky shouldn't be factored in to some degree. I understand that apparently this is the 13 match card by what you just said, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of filler, and there's a lot of people who should be on this card. I know I'm the only one who's going to say this, and I'll bite the bullet right now, but hey, that Wyatt 6 MFT thing, that could be an 8-minute match at WrestleMania on the pre-show on one of the nights. It's baffling to me that we're going on the 4th year of Solo, and he has never wrestled at WrestleMania, and I wouldn't be surprised if he never does.
That's wild. Like, this dude's been a popular enough person and a big enough part of the roster that this motherfucker should have had
like
one match at Mania by now, you know?
It's just crazy. It's ridiculous to me that R-Truth and Damian Priest are the tag team champions. I've theorized in my head that that's probably because they wanted to punish Tama Tonga further. But how are you not doing something where, even if it's not a ladder situation, because that's the IC title, doing something to get the
like Motor City Machine Guns or
Traxium, or like, you have all of this time and all of these belts and all of these people. Do something with them, you know what I mean?
I mean, you're not going to have to try to sell me on the idea that the pre-show that's 3 fucking hours long, and then the main show that'll end up being, 4 hours long or whatever it is, that they don't have too much downtime and that they shouldn't just put more matches on there, because it's like, I don't want there to be 20 matches on the show, but at the same time, if you're going to have that much time frame of like 3 o'clock until, I don't know, 10 or 11 or 12,
right?
Like, if you're going to have that many hours, put matches on there then, instead of, I don't want to sit there for 3 hours and listen to. Realistically, look, let's put it this way. There's 7 matches on night 1. There's 6 matches on night 2. Even if they add an extra one, 7 and 7. I don't think it takes 3 hours to break that down. And at least not even in the way that they will break it down. Because we can get into things that they can't get into. Like, we can say things like, is it okay that you book IShowSpeed to be in this match? And what's the benefit of having the IShowSpeed match on the thing that people can watch for free versus whatever? What's the marketing idea for it? They won't talk about that. They'll just be like, hey, Stephanie Vaquer, she's done a lot of great things. And like, the pre-show panel stuff is pointless. It's terrible. So they should, by all accounts, both tag team titles are not on the line. Women's United States title's not on the line. Lots of important people not on the show. Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal should be a thing. Women's Battle Royal should be a thing. I always say China Memorial Battle Royal makes sense. But like,
call it the China Memorial. Call it, there's plenty of people you name it out there. Call it if you can't do Moolah, do Mae Young. Call it the Mae Young Battle Royal.
What was it? The sensational sherry thing, like, so it sucks that there are a lot of people that aren't on this card that realistically should be, just based off of the amount of time that they have. What's it?
Why is Chelsea Green missing Mania?
I think, and I don't know for sure by any means, I think that they're still hoping that she can be a part of the US title thing, and I think that that's why they haven't announced anything yet. I don't know if she's like anywhere close to being cleared, but didn't she like just kick like a field goal with her foot that's like messed up?
I mean, she seems to be walking around okay at Coachella this
right.
recently.
So like, I don't know if that's just like, okay, it's good enough for that, but you're not technically cleared for competition, or if it's like, okay, it's gonna be a triple threat, But Jordan Grace actually is cleared right now, right?
Jordan Grace is cleared, yeah.
So maybe we get a 4-way and they throw those women into there, which then still brings up the whole, how many women are still not a part of it? Like, you still technically don't have anything for some pretty important women that are not on this card. Io Sky being probably the number one example of just like, Io's been such a big part of this whole thing, and she technically still doesn't have a match.
Of all last year, how is she not figured into this card?
Yeah.
I mean, that is probably just take everything else aside, and we know the sort of like the limitations that come to it. If you can't book your best wrestler, realistically, your best wrestler on the show, that's booking malpractice, and you shouldn't be in charge of running the creative of the company. If you can't figure out a way to get Io Sky on this show, then you just aren't very good at booking wrestling. Like, that's just fundamentally the case, because, like, it's simple. She has an inbuilt story with Asuka and Kairi Sane. You just throw it on there. You've got a space. And that match, you know, you could do the United States title match, and I also think that it's silly that the woman that held the the WWE Women's Championship for practically all of 2025 is not going to make it onto the card unless they do a last-minute United States title match as well. Not that I'm as keen on having Tiffany Stratton appear as
right.
Io Sky, but either way, it's a case of, like, if you can't find places for them, then I don't know what you're really doing in the role that you're put yourself into. Yeah, it's unfortunate that you didn't get the Sami Zayn and not Sami Zayn, the Seth Rollins and Broughton Breaker match that you probably were planning, and the Gunther and Rey Mysterio match. And if you had both of those matches on the show, then you have the 7 and 7, and then you probably don't still have Io Sky on the show. Like, imagine that if they did have certain people that were fit and able to compete. How many people that are currently on this card aren't on this card because of that?
Yeah, you got to assume that, like, as bad as it is that they didn't include Carmelo Hayes in here, would they have not had a match for Trick, even? Would they have not had... I mean, not to, like, you know, downgrade certain people, but, like, there's a hierarchy. It's pretty fucking obvious that, like, it's more important for you to get, you know, CM Punk on this card than JD McDonough. And it's like, you know, they barely put any effort at all into getting Javon Evans on this card. Would he have had no spot? Would it have been a scenario of like, well, we don't know what we're going to do with LA Knight. We're like, I don't know if we're going to actually do anything with the Usos, or like, I don't know, whoever it might be. Like, the amount of time that they're going to waste over this whole weekend, there really isn't any excuse to not include certain people on there. And if the excuse from them, if you could hook them up to like a truth serum and they would just go, but we need to allot X amount of time to advertisements. I mean, how much can you really fucking squeeze in there? You're going to put the advertisements on the ring. You're going to put the advertisements on the graphics on the screen. You're going to put the advertisements as something that people say. Like, the commentary team is in the middle of the fucking Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley match, and they're like, and I remember everybody Minute Maid, like, whatever the fuck, like, you know, the greed for this company is absolutely absurd, and you cannot justify to me that you're going to have 6 fucking hours over the course of this weekend and not be able to accomplish all the advertisements that you're doing. So they're going to shaft people that should be on this show, a Solo Sikoa, an Io Sky, a Carmelo Hayes, whatever it might be, in favor of being like, yeah, but you know what? We should have an hour and a half on the main show dedicated to just backstage bullshit or video packages that you've already seen on the pre-show, any of that kind of stuff. And I got to assume that one person that's going to be a part of that, and this isn't the worst example of it. So for anybody that's like, you know, you're going straight from point A to point Z, Danhausen's not on this card, but Danhausen's going to be at WrestleMania. Like, it's going to happen.
It's weird because they set it up. They had, I almost said Miz and Morrison, Miz and Wilson.
Kit Wilson
challenged Danhausen to a match. So they did set that up, and then they just didn't follow through.
And then Jelly Roll was a part of that, but now Jelly Roll's a part of the Orton
Now
thing.
they've moved Jelly Roll into the Cody thing, which is asinine.
And of course, you're going to spend a lot of time on this fucking show being like, and guess who else is in the crowd? It's this rapper, right, and it's this NASCAR driver, and it's this person who was on season 3 of this show and on HBO.
It's like WrestleMania entrances used to be for like a handful of guys. You know, maybe Michaels, WrestleMania 12 comes to mind. Undertaker sometimes got a special entrance. But like now, you have to allot probably an hour and a half just for entrances. I'm not even being funny, like, because everything is such a big spectacle, and it's more about the oohs and ahs than it is the show you're putting on. And I do want to. Triple H did an interview with Joe Tessitore on the WWE YouTube channel, and there's a quote that's going around that people are upset about because he said, we're not like any other sport where if you lose your quarterback, you can put in a second string guy. For us, there's no backup Roman, there's no backup Punk. And everybody took that to mean he's shitting on the roster. He isn't, because obviously, like we saw it with Seth. You advertised Seth Rollins in the main event of WrestleMania 42 a year ago, and look at how that worked out for you. But at the same time, again, the fact that I'm going to assume EO was probably factored in as part of Rio.
Right.
But then when it became clear, no Bianca, they just pivoted Rhea to Jade and said, sorry, EO, maybe next year. Which is just ridiculous. Because when someone spends the bulk of the year at the top of the card, they should just be default factored into Mania. There should just be some people that are like, we have to get this person on the card. The same way that they, in a roundabout way, have said, we got Gunther and Seth on the card. I agree with that move, but I think that should be extended to other people as well.
There are creative solutions to things. And, it might not be the best creative idea, might not be, maybe not necessarily the best analogy, but I bring it up all the time. Those Star Wars sequels. You can't tell me that good writers worked on that set of movies when you've got a line like, somehow Palpatine returned. Whoever was responsible for that should not be writing movies. You can't just be like, this happened because it just did. Can you just move on from there? And like, there's a certain level of that happens already in pro wrestling. You like suspension of disbelief and just kind of going along with the fact that stories change and cards change and all that. There's a lot of leeway in how poorly written pro wrestling is. And, sometimes it's very silly. Like, we were laughing last night because I was watching a video where somebody was bringing up the whole Grande Americano thing. And Caroline was like, none of this makes any sense. And I was like, I mean, it does make sense, but it only makes sense if you realize how much it doesn't make any sense.
It only makes sense if you go, I've been watching wrestling for years. And it just makes sense because wrestling tropes.
Right. Like, if you got to get over the hump of this is dumb, and then you can start to go. And, the guy who deserves to be the fake Mexican luchador is actually the German pretending to be the American, pretending to be the Mexican guy. And so, you know what I mean? Like, she's like, you're all dumb. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to deny it. But like, I look at the set of matches for this year's WrestleMania and I just go, you couldn't figure out something better than this for a lot of this whole thing. And I guess we should start breaking down the actual cards themselves. But
the match that's going to start off Saturday is IShowSpeed and the Vision against the Usos and LA Knight.
It's a 6-man tag. There's nothing on the line. There's, the tag team champions are a part of this, but the belts are not factored in, which not that would upgrade it considerably to be like, the tag team titles are somehow on the line in a 6-man tag or something like that. But like, the Vision was clearly not supposed to be in this kind of scenario. And then all the other things, all the cards fell, all the other things, whatever like that. I don't fault them for a match like this taking place. This is one of the ones where I have a little bit of leniency for it. But at the same time, I don't want them patting themselves on the back for this. Because there's a big difference between, well, shit, I need to make something for dinner and I only have a certain amount of ingredients. And this was good enough for me to eat. Versus, wow, that's a 5-star meal. You know what I mean? And this is not a 5-star meal. The Usos are fun. They're a little overboard in some certain ways. The Usos are a fun, big enough tag team, sure. LA Knight, fun guy. Vision, some good stuff there. IShowSpeed. He was athletic in some other things. He might end up doing something fun or whatever. And they're going to get a pop when I'm assuming IShowSpeed hits Logan Paul with the brass knuckles and Division lose. But, this is going to be on ESPN too. I don't know how many people just in general in pro wrestling are going to watch a pre-show and then be willing to pay the extra money for the actual pay-per-view. And I don't think that this is necessarily a match that's going to convince any of those people. I would love to know the numbers at the end of this. If there are... Actually, I don't know. What would be the estimate? How many people do you guys think, realistically, will look at this match and go, I think I will spend $30-something on the pay-per-view? As opposed to the people that already were paying for it.
So I think 0, and I think part of the reason that is, to me, I think they should be on YouTube. Specifically, this match should be on YouTube.
I mean, IShowSpeed's a YouTube guy, right?
IShowSpeed.
Or Twitch or whatever.
It's the same argument as putting Big Boom AJ on the pre-shows. His content is free of charge, so put him on the free of charge platform. IShowSpeed is genuinely popular with, kids and teens and all that. Put this shit on YouTube. Who has ESPN2? Do you know anybody that has cable, let alone ESPN2? I mean, this should be... I understand why it's on that particular platform, but this should be on YouTube. And all my thoughts about IShowSpeed getting a match at WrestleMania when other people aren't out of the way, this is fine. I just think you're missing the mark. If you're going to do this, it should be on the platform that is relevant to these performers, including Logan, who is still largely associated with YouTube. That's where this match should be. That being said, just to get this out of the way, the Usos should be in a tag team match with credible tag teams because you have the most machine guns on the roster and Fraxium, and I don't understand how that didn't happen. But yeah, I think this is fine, and I'll say Usos and LA Knight get the win just because start off the show with babyface is winning.
Yeah, I think that in terms of how many more people it's added, well, maybe IShowSpeed's family.
They're already paying for it.
Well, you said they might have. Well, if he wasn't going to compete, why would and they're not wrestling fans? Why would they watch?
Mm-hmm.
So he's at least brought his family into it. I think that first of all, this is where Jey Uso belongs on a WrestleMania card, in a tag team or 6-man tag team match down at the bottom of the card, rather than in the main event.
Gunther tap out.
Yeah. Not necessarily main event, but fighting for a world championship on the show like this. That he's back where he kind of belongs on the WrestleMania card, and that's totally fine. Match itself, I don't really have much excitement or interest in it because it's an actual definitive 6-man tag match. You can't really necessarily do it because you've got enough hardcore-y type matches on the show already, but it just feels like IShowSpeed's gonna come in every now and again to stomp on one of the guys when they're down, and because he just doesn't strike me as a guy that he's clearly got some athleticism about him, but it doesn't strike me as a physical athlete. He's more of a runner or a because he's quite thin and wiry. So I guess it's even less believable than a Bad Bunny. Because Bad Bunny at least has a bit of bulk to him. Same with Logan Paul. You can believe that they could get in a fight with a wrestler and just hold their own, whereas he's just too small, too skinny. So I mean, I think the Usos and LA Knight should win, but it just depends on if they decide to want to have some sort of viral moment by having Speed get the pinfall.
I think the viral moment is him hitting Logan Paul. And it being he's got the brass knuckles.
Building to next year's Speed versus Logan Paul singles match.
Yeah.
We're building to night one of SummerSlam.
Refereed by Mr. Beast.
Got
I still like.
that
I don't
came
even
at
know
the-
what Mr. Beast's
that came
content
at
is.
McIntyre.
I've never seen a
Came
single one of
through
his
real quick.
videos.
Also, this is probably going to be the first time of the weekend we see Paul Heyman come to the ring. He could skip it, but I don't think the main character of WWE will miss an opportunity to be in front of everybody.
I prefer him to skip down the ring as well.
Let's light
I
it
don't
up.
know. I don't know if he's capable of doing that. But I think it's probably not the last time we see at least two of the people in this match this weekend. But I don't know. I think this is just not where the vision was going, or LA Knight, if you believe the earlier reports. But they made the most of it, and they're going to get talked about. And I think that's all TKO cares about.
It's interesting that they have not only that match, but the other match that they're going to put for free. For, free in the sense of if you already have ESPN2, then, whatever. So it's not really free. The other one being the unsanctioned match between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre, which I assume was supposed to be a Hell in a Cell match. And they did this little promo with Drew McIntyre being in like the prison cell and saying that Jacob Fatu is, an inmate and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, that strikes me a little bit more as Hell in a Cell. Unsanctioned is such a dumb thing because it's like, well, we signed off on this match that says that it's not a real match under WWE rules, but it's going to be just no DQ. I never liked the unsanctioned match concept. I think it's dumb. And yeah, I've waxed poetic for years and years and years about how I hate how WWE is just like, this one's an old-fashioned Donnybrook, and this one's a no DQ match, and this one's a no holds barred match, and this one's a street fight, and this one's an Extreme Rules match, and this one's a Belfast Brawl, and this one's a kendo stick candy party, and whatever the fuck, I don't know.
Miracle on 34th Street Fight is what you're aiming for.
Like, any of that stuff is just like, okay, I get it. These two are going to fight, and they're not going to be counted out. And they can use weapons. Okay. So there's plenty of different ways to get around that. That in of itself, they're going to have a fun enough segment. Like Jacob Fatu and Jerry McIntyre are going to beat the shit out of each other. You would hope. But there's always the thing with WWE of there's a chance with any kind of no DQ, whatever type of stipulation, that all they fucking do is do chair shot to the gut, chair shot to the back, kendo stick, throw your face into the steel steps, crash through a commentary table, punch, 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 punch. If that's going to be this match, that's not going to win any more people over either. If they actually go balls to the wall, it could be a lot of fun. It could be a potential show stealer. Ultimately, I think no matter what, Jacob Fatu has to win this. And this should be the end of this feud.
I think Drew McIntyre got fucked over. Because it's not. There's another match on ESPN on Sunday, that I understand why it's on ESPN. But Drew McIntyre was WWE champion like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and to go from that to being like in a highly charged rivalry, but it's going to be a free match on ESPN too. How much are they going to pull back because it's a free match on ESPN too? It's not like he's going to have the match he had with Punk instead of Hell in a Cell. That's probably why they chose not to do Hell in a Cell. I hope it's good. I like both of these guys, and they're both very talented. They've had a great build where it's kind of been a little car crashy, but you can tell that there's a rivalry there. There's a hatred there. You have to assume that at some point in the very, very near future, both are going to need to be factored into the world title picture. So it is an important match, but I just can't help but feel bad for Drew.
I don't feel bad for Drew as a guy that's made it to be like a 3-time world champion when realistically in most other eras of WWE he would have had one at best. I think that he's going into this as, you know, a veteran trying to put over a younger act that's trying to reach a certain level in Jacob Fatu. So that's where McIntyre is right now. He's like, you know, occasional main eventer, occasional world champion, but now he's just the veteran act on the show that's going to help carry a new, like a somewhat new guy through it. And I think there's a good chance that this is, to be honest, just looking through all the matches on the show, I don't see anything being better than this, just from an in-ring standpoint. Like, I think that if they want to go out and they want to show up and do some creative things with weapons and use the stipulation to its full advantage, then I would say it's practically a lock that this is match of the weekend.
There's a very good chance. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they have the type of match that you would think that they would have, they could very well steal the show.
There's no real certainty to it, but like, if I was just looking through all these ones to say, okay, let's imagine a scenario where they all reach like the maximum potential that they can deliver. Then I look at them and go, oh yeah, Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre will be the best match. Then if they all reach the peaks that they can deliver, I don't think anyone's peaks can be higher than these two. Just both for the stipulation, both for the fact that they're just very physical and engaging workers, and most of the other people that are in the kind of higher profile matches are quite like matches involving a lot of old men. So, and like. Yes, like, we'll go through all the other ones as well, but it's like these two should have a point to prove, being that they could have, if other rumours were to be believed, be thrown into the world title match on this show. The fact that they're now just having their rivalry somewhere in the undercard means that they may want to. Well, let's say it could always go one or two ways. One, they can either bury their performance because they're just pissed off at where they are, or they feel like, okay, we'll show why we're the actual main event or why we should have been in this world title match instead. So, and hopefully it's the latter for entertainment purposes at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument that they should have been in like a 4-way, or that this should have been the title match, and that like Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton could have been just, you know, a feud, or that, no, realistically speaking, Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn, Jacob Fatu, and Drew McIntyre, those were the 4 people that were feuding with each other. Randy Orton wasn't a part of it at all. So they've changed up a lot of things, and I would love for WWE to learn some goddamn lessons out of this, but I highly doubt that they will. I think that they just want to get through WrestleMania weekend, and they're going to look at whatever money they make, and they're going to not even realize, oh, maybe we should lower our fucking ticket prices even after making that an actual part of the whole quote-unquote build to WrestleManias, admitting how stupid they are and then not actually making those changes. But they fall ass backwards a lot into poor booking, poor storytelling, poor planning, but goddamn do some of these people have a lot of talent. And sometimes those people save their asses. And this is one of those WrestleManias where I feel like if the matches all deliver, it could be pretty good 2-night sets of show outside of all the filler crap that's going to weigh it down. But, you know, I don't personally think, for instance, that Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan, here's one of your other matches on night 1. Women's World Championship on the line. Liv Morgan's going in as challenger. She is going to be highlighted with, I'm assuming, another redo of that music video that she's got going on. And we'll talk a little bit more details about that, I guess, on the hot tags or something. But I can't be like, wow, what a great feud between these two. Because what's the feud really been? Stephanie Vaquer is champion. Liv Morgan won the Royal Rumble. They've had issues before the Royal Rumble. Liv Morgan went, I'll wait to pick, but I'm only really going to interact with Stephanie. So it's like, why don't you just say that you're fighting Stephanie? No. I might fight Jade, and by might, I mean definitely won't, for like 3 weeks. And then since then, it's just been, you're a bitch. Your mom sucks. Fuck you. It's really not anything more than that. Now, Stephanie Vaquer, great. Liv Morgan, great. Super popular people. Very hot acts. They're going to be fully reliant on just these people are popular and they're talented. And it's, poor storytelling. I don't think that the feud is any kind of like, oh my God, there's such a generational thing, blah, 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 all that kind of shit that the stands end up having for it. And people are going to go ape shit when Liv Morgan wins that title. And they're going to be retroactively saying that this was an amazing feud. I don't think it will be looked at in that way from me. But I think that quality of the match itself, it's probably going to be okay. It's not the match that I'm looking most forward to on this night by any means. But people will care more about the idea that Liv Morgan won the belt. So I'm assuming a lot more positives coming out of this than people are actually going to be willing to look back in the past 5 months and actually really assess the whole thing. Because I think that most people are just going to be happy that they see Liv Morgan holding the championship.
So this one's funny to me because I watched Raw last night and my genuine reaction was, holy shit, they're so mad at each other. Like, they're screaming. I messaged her, like, why are they so mad? And then I got around to it, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. If they've been bringing that energy, complete with Stephanie knocking Liv so hard that the match was nearly off, yeah, fuck it. Thumbs up for this build to Mania, because this has been a rough build to Mania, and I think these girls have done more than definitely their counterpart over on SmackDown. So I'm interested in it. I completely think Liv Morgan is winning. We can talk about the music video now because that's just her theme song moving forward. So I think that's interesting. For whatever reason, they want to strap the rocket to Morgan right now. And not that it isn't well deserved, but Stephanie's also a new act, a hot act, and you can argue by putting it on Liv over Stephanie, you're missing the chance to solidify a new generation. But I think it's going to be one of the more fun matches to watch on night one. And I'm looking forward to it more than others, and that's what I'll say.
Yeah, I feel like, it's still on the boat. I think that they're both going to be wanting to prove themselves because they both feel like, well, in Liv's case specifically, she feels like she's kind of under the upper echelon tier of like the top names in WWE Women's Division, like your Rhea Ripley's, your like Bianca Belair's, Becky Lynch's, that kind of ilk. She's always felt like a tier below that, whereas I feel like she thinks that she can reach that very top tier. And this is an opportunity for her to prove it. And I think that Stephanie Vaquer can have some great matches. I feel like this world title reign has been a lot of spinning her wheels a bit, but that's primarily because she's almost exclusively been feuding with Raquel Rodriguez for the title. And so she hasn't had a lot of variety or interest beyond that point. And so this is a chance. It's not been like the most stellar feud or most like interesting or creative from that standpoint, but it has just been two women who clearly hate each other and want to win the title and like approach it in a very aggressive, violent way. So yeah, I imagine that this match, probably out of all the women's matches on the show, has probably got I actually say it probably is the most likely to have a good to great match out of all of them, because they'll be trying hard and they've got the capability to have a great match with each other. So
at least as far as what they've announced so far, because I think that if they do have like a US title match, that might possibly beat it out.
Did you not see Julia versus Tiffany Stratton a couple of weeks ago? Well, I saw like the clips of it. It's like one of the worst matches of the year so far, I think. Based
To be fair, I didn't really pay all that much attention. That's one of those nights where I was just kind of like, all right, I got other shit I got to do, so I'll pop up when the match outcome happens. So yeah, I might be speaking out of turn with that, but I don't think that that's really going to be, you know, wow, what an amazing match we're going to get out of most of the other matches for the women's division for this. Like AJ Lee and Becky Lynch, it just happened at Elimination Chamber. And I said this heading into Elimination Chamber. I'm going to repeat myself. I do not care when you do a match and then you just wait and then you do it again and it's the exact same match. AJ Lee wins that belt from Becky Lynch and then they spend the next 5 weeks or 6 weeks or however long it was with them not doing fucking anything. Anything. What's been the twist of this story? Becky still bitches and complains in the exact same manner that she did before if she's there. AJ says the exact same response to that if she's there. It's just, I don't like you. I want that belt back. I'm going to beat you, even though I've lost every other time. I'm the best, and I'm not the only one who says it. Bleacher Report says it, and Sports Illustrated says it, or whatever. And AJ Lee goes, yeah, well, nah. And then they either do the same thing the next week, or they don't do anything that week, and then they do the same thing the week after, or if they do anything at all. This feud sucks. And the match isn't going to be any better than what they already had at Elimination Chamber. So what do I give a shit about? And I like Becky and I like AJ. But fuck me, you took all the interest out of this for me. Either Becky wins and this was pointless, or AJ retains and this was pointless. You cannot convince me that this is better than if they would have properly built up AJ Lee versus Roxanne Perez and done something else with Becky Lynch. I'm assuming AJ Lee retains, but it really, like, I don't fucking care. That sucks to say.
I think first of all, I was very open about just do the damn match Chamber and don't do it at Mania and put Becky in the world title match or in one of the, you know, women's world title matches for Mania. But we're here. I'm glad that at least this women's mid-card belt is being defended. I think it's, you know, a really cool thing that AJ is getting to do a singles match at Mania. That wasn't even a thing when she was on the roster. Like, she made history when she was on the roster by being the only woman to defend the Divas title ever at Mania. So the fact that it's like, oh, cool, you're doing a singles match, that's big in and of itself, but it would have been a lot bigger if you didn't do the match, you know, at in Chicago, and then have AJ beat Becky twice before that as well. That being said, hopefully this is the best effort between the two. I think it would have benefited from a stipulation, whether it's submission, I quit,
2 out of 3 falls, some,
you know, the last one stand, something. But it should be good. I want AJ Lee to win and then move on to something else. My fear is that Becky Lynch will just win, drop it, honestly, drop it AJ style on Monday to a debuting Solruka, and then it'll be like, oh, never mind, we'll see AJ again when we have a story for her for SummerSlam or whatever. I don't want that. I want AJ to just stick around for a bit. I hope that's what we get. But I think predictions contest-wise, not that it matters to anyone, I'll say Becky Lynch is going to win the title.
Yeah, I'd say one of the results I'm most confident in is Becky beating AJ Lee. And that's just primarily the fact that AJ's beaten Becky 3 times in a row. they're not going to have Becky lose a fourth time in a row to AJ Lee. So yeah, I don't think the match will be anything too spectacular because nothing that I've seen between the two of them, again, in fits and bursts and highlights and stuff like that, has been all that impressive. Becky has proven multiple times before that she's probably the person that can get the best out of veteran wrestlers that don't have a lot of recent in-ring experience or have a decent number of recent matches, and so it doesn't really bode too well for AJ Lee's future matches if that's the case. But
I would say I think she's gotten better. Like she definitely her outing at Chamber was better than Palooza, but that wasn't a high bar to clear.
But yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully they have a decent match, but I'd say I'm pretty confident Becky will win the title, and whether she moves on to another. I think they're essentially, this title is tied to Becky Lynch for like the current period of time. I don't think they feel like moving her up to the world title scene again. They just want to revolve her around this title. And AJ will go away for a while and she'll come back when she wants to come back. I don't think that we're not going to see that match for Roxanne Perez. It just may not be with a title attached to it. And Becky can be a good gatekeeper for the next bunch of people that are going to be coming up from NXT post WrestleMania. So yeah, Becky. I'm fairly confident Becky will win the title.
I'm leaning a little bit more towards Becky too. I kind of just want AJ to retain and to just drop it to Roxanne, but I would have wanted that to happen at Mania too. And they have not given any kind of hints whatsoever that they're heading in that direction. So it says a lot that, like, the thing that clicks with me the most out of all this discussion that we've had is the point of AJ Lee probably drops the belt and then just disappears, and we'll bring her back when we have an idea. Because I think that that's probably more than likely what's happening. So Becky just wins, and it's just like, all right, so that we just hit the reset button again for like the fourth time. And I'm not really particularly interested in that. As far as like in-ring quality and all, Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan, they're going to have a better match, I think, than AJ and Becky. And as far as like interest of where the title is going to go and whatever, I'm actually more interested for the Fatal 4-Way, or at least it's currently a Fatal 4-Way, for the women's tag team titles of like the different possibilities that they have there than for it to just be like, oh, now what do we see? What happens with Becky? Or what do we see with what happens with Liv or whatever? Right now, the 4-Way for the women's tag team titles is Lash, Legend, and Nia Jax, the Irresistible Forces, going in as tag team champions. Charlexa, as they were referred to, I guess. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss as one of the sets of challengers. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria as another set. And the Bella Twins as the fourth set. Now, Bayley and... I
was going to say, actually, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss are officially dubbed the Ring Queens, as according to Wikipedia's listing for this match.
The Ring Queens?
Yep.
Since when?
It's not the submission sorority, and that's what matters.
The Ring Kings.
I'm just going back to the Ring King. Yeah, the Ring Kings.
The Ring Queens. Shout out to Peyton. The whole setup I mentioned before about this, we don't know if Nikki Bella is going to be cleared to compete. If she is not, then the rumor is that they will put either the Kabuki Warriors and or Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez in the match instead to make it a 4-way that way. In my mind, you could kind of just be like, oh, let's fucking put them in there too. Why not? It's 4-way. There's 6-way. It's whatever. The fuck. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a mess. And the best case scenario for this match is everybody gets quick tags and they all just do their quick shit. And like, you know, they don't get bogged down in too much of a very specific Bayley versus Lash Legend or Brie versus Charlotte scenario where it's just like, this is going on for a while now. Like, you got to do quick tags. You got to have like a frenetic pace to it. If the Bella Twins are in the match and it's not a matter of like, they're technically in the match, but Nikki just gets hit once and then is on the outside the whole rest of the time. And then they're like, well, you know, I mean, that's what happens. There's nothing she could do. But if they're legitimately in the match and she's cleared to compete, then I think that the Bella Twins win. If there's any kind of issues with Nikki's injury, then I am very confused about where they're going to go. Because maybe they go and put it on Bayley and Lyra to sort of make up for the Bayley thing from last year.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If they can't do Bella Twins, they'll probably give it to Bayley and Lyra.
That'd probably be my number 2 rank. And then I'm like, well, you know, Flair and Alexa Bliss are popular enough. They maybe just put the belts on them. Or maybe they just say, well, we want the Bella Twins to be the next champions, but we have to wait another month. So we're just going to keep it on Nia and Lash and have them drop it. I don't know. But it's impossible for us to know because we don't know what Nikki's injury status is.
If they end up replacing the Bella Twins and they go with the Judgment Day, I think I would suggest Judgment Day will win so they can for a minute be like, look, they're all champions.
Wouldn't you be in the Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw?
Listen, they're still going. It's worked, and I think they'll do that. But honestly, I think it would be a good loose end to tie up to give it to Bayley and Lyra if they can't go with the Bellas, because that Bayley thing did genuinely upset people last year. And I'm talking about people in the company were like, how do you pull Bayley day of and not give her a heads up?
Any thoughts on your end, Callum?
So I think that obviously the Bella Twins would win if they're fit and healthy to compete, because that's basically what this match is there for. So as I say, it all just completely comes down to Nikki Bella's status or not. Otherwise, because I don't know where they even stand on the alignment thing, because it just seems like, it just feels like a lot of women fighting each other without any. I assume that Lash and Nia are heels, but all the rest of it is just a bunch of women fighting each other without any real care about who's heel, who's babyface, whatever. But you'd imagine that if they are making the Bella Twins more on the heel side of things, that they'd want to put a babyface team as the champions for them to face later down the road if they can't compete here. So Bayley and Lyra make sense, or they might just put the title back on Charlotte and Alexa because, why not? They're probably the most over team there outside of the Bella Twins. So, and they've basically been doing a mini feud between Charlotte and Alexa, and Bayley and Lyra are pretty much in the middle of all this. So,
from my understanding, all 3 of the challenging teams are all baby faces. They fight with each other, but they tend to focus on Jackson Legend as being well, those are the assholes.
I think I'd go with, the Bellas will win if he's fit enough to compete. Otherwise, I'll probably just go with Charlotte and Alexa as a default.
That's going to be an interesting one to see if they switch it up on Friday. Because they could announce something on the pre-show, or they could announce something on Friday where it's maybe Nikki Bella and Brie Bella get attacked, and then it's they got attacked by Raquel and Roxanne, and then now they're inserted into the match or something.
I think that'd be so stupid, because you've known for weeks, and I'm not just saying through Meltzer, WWE has said for weeks that it's up in the air if she can compete. If they're really waiting down to the wire, it's because they really, really, really want the Bella Twins to win.
Yeah.
But it's also, just from just match quality standpoint, this is going to be cheeks, this match. None of these 4-way women's matches they do for the tag titles pretty much every single year, they're never that good.
I can't remember there being. I think that there was actually one year that was actually pretty good, but I don't remember for sure if it was at a Mania or if it was at some other kind of show. There was something. It's floating around in the ethos of my brain of There was some kind of like women's tag match of some kind where I was just like, oh damn, that was actually one of the better matches of the night. But I can't remember now if it was like a Mania multi-tag team thing or if it was like I don't know, Survivor Series or something like that. But yeah, they typically aren't all that great. And there's a lot of talented people like in here, like, you know, I mean, to a certain extent. But I don't think that they really mesh super all that well together to have like this is going to be one of those matches where it's like, if you got to skip something, you'll probably skip this one, you know? But to be fair, I don't think that a lot of the matches are necessarily going to pull off something spectacular. And even when it comes to something like Seth Rollins and Gunther, I don't think that they're going to have as good of a match as a lot of other people are going to go into this with. I'm not particularly thrilled about this. And that's not just because of the story is shit.
That's not just you saying it. That's Sports Illustrated.
And like, yeah, Seth Rollins and Gunther was not the plan. We know that. I wasn't interested in Gunther versus Rey Mysterio. And I wasn't interested in Seth Rollins going into WrestleMania as the champion and spending the entire time with the Vision and doing all that kind of stuff. But the story has become the most simple non-story that you could basically do. Their whole idea was just, I don't know, these two don't have anything else. Just put them together. And then after 2 weeks, they figured out that the only story element for it is, I am better than you. That's it. Okay. Just do the match. Braun Breaker comes out. He costs Seth Rollins. Gunther wins.
I think, and they don't do this a lot at Mania, but I would have made an exception here. I would have said the winner of this match faces the winner of Roman versus Punk at Backlash. Because with the 4 parties involved, you can see it going in any direction. And it would have added some intrigue to the match. And instead of it just being like, hey, Gunther, what the fuck? Why do you want to fight me? And then he just goes, because you think you're the best wrestler, but I'm the best wrestler. Which is fine, but I don't feel like I've heard Seth Rollins say the words, I'm the best wrestler in a while. But
I like that idea of it being like a number 1 contenders match.
yeah, because I'll spoil this right now. I think no matter what happens, Gunther is challenging for the world title at Backlash. And I do think Braun Breaker should return here. I know they would probably want to save it for the Raw after, but I do think he should return here, help Gunther win, and Paul Heyman can do like the, hey, thanks, so we're even, right? And you're not a chance, pal. And then you're quietly building towards the Brock match.
Which basically will just be, we'll talk about this again in 4 months.
I'm usually the one that's most down to the idea, or most okay with the idea, or if plans go awry, just throw 2 of your best wrestlers in the ring with each other and just hope for the best. Because, you know, that's, at the end of the day, if things that you'd hoped for from both sides of things have just fallen apart, then there's no better route than to just put on a match between the 2 of them and hope that it's something more memorable to make up for the fact that the booking is incredibly wonky, because this is not what you intended to do in the slightest. My issue with that being that I don't know if the match quality will be great, and it's not even just like as a negative to the 2 guys involved, it's the fact that Rollins hasn't had a match since his injury. We don't even know how healthy he was coming back into this. And Gunther hasn't really had a great match in a while, because he's mostly been wrestling, say like the AJ Styles stuff, but he's mostly been wrestling like guys at the very back end of their careers, or just having, you know, random matches in between that. But he's like far more sporadic in his appearances and his matches than he ever used to be. Rollins hasn't wrestled since last year. So yeah, if you're expecting like a banger immediately between these 2, I'd be highly surprised. I think that they're capable, and if they were to do it, then I'm more happy to eat my words, but I'm not exactly like as excited about this match as I would have been like 2 or 3 years ago.
This is the kind of situation where I want both guys to come in with enough fire to do something memorable that it just the magic makes itself happen. Because, as Callum rightly points out, with both Gunther and Seth, they're kind of in that area now that you stupidly get to in WWE, where the true sign that you're a top guy is that you stop wrestling. Because before that, both of them were I'm the workhorse, and then, oh wait, I'm a top guy now? I'm not wrestling. Because even Rollins, before he got hurt, was already slinking into that role of like, I don't wrestle as much. And I want to see them deliver a banger. I want to see them be like, hey, this match was not planned. You didn't know this was happening 3 weeks ago, but you just got treated to the match of the weekend. That they definitely erroneously set that up on Raw. But I don't think that they're going to do it. And I think this is the one match that he's not scheduled to be ringside, where Paul Heyman should probably be ringside, because the whole point of this thing was like, Paul Heyman hates Seth Rollins, and, you know, Becky Lynch is a whore, and he's going to raise their daughter. But oh yeah, here's Gunther. Like, I do think Heyman has to be ringside for this. I don't think it would detract too much. And I want to see a banger, but Gunther has to win. He has to.
Yeah. There's no benefit to giving it to Rollins. And then, we don't know the order of things, but the last match to talk about on night one is Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against Randy Orton. And according to Wikipedia, at least, and I don't remember this happening. Maybe it was just, in a fever pitch or something. But if Orton loses, McAfee will leave the professional wrestling business for good. Is listed.
He said that 2 weeks in a row. People didn't catch it the first week, but he definitely made it clear on the past SmackDown that if Orton loses, he's gone.
So that sucks. That means even more so that this is just like, all right, well then Orton wins. And then they just do the match that's been rumored for Backlash. It's Cody Rhodes and Jelly Roll versus Randy Orton and Pat McAfee, which I could not fucking care less about. I hate this so much because Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton didn't need anything else. They were rushing it already because they didn't bother to really truly get this going until after setting aside all the Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn stuff. So this is like, none of this makes any sense to go in that direction anyway. But there's so much meat on the bone of just Rhodes and Orton and their history together. Why the fuck is Pat McAfee a part of this? And it's not gotten any better. All they're doing is doubling down on the exact same things that have sucked since the beginning of Pat McAfee being a part of this. He cuts the same promo. He's very loud and he's very boisterous, and Cody's mad and Orton's there. It's stupid. Orton wins. Everybody goes, oh man, what's Cody going to do? Cody comes out on fucking SmackDown or whatever it is, and he's like, Pat McAfee, motherfucker, I gotta get that belt back, whatever. And then they bullshit around for the next couple weeks until Jelly Roll and him tag it up at Backlash, and then they drag another month out of it. And then Cody fights Orton at whatever the next pay-per-view is after that, wins the title back. Oh my god, I don't fucking care. You mean to tell me that this is going to be a way to convince the people that are not liking Cody to get back on board? Hell no. You're going to ruin this shit by doing bad stuff like this. Absolutely. Just, I hate it. I hate it so much. And this was one of those matches where last year I was like, I want to see Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton by next year's WrestleMania. Did not want it to be anything close to what we're getting here. I'm like, all right, put the belt on Orton, fuck around for a month, 2 months, whatever. Put the belt back on Cody. Everybody will be mad because it'll be like, oh, it's just back on Cody again. And then they'll give him some shit feud afterward. And then people will be even more upset about that. And then You know, like, I have no faith that this is going to work out for not only now, but for the next, you know, all the way up until SummerSlam.
So, all that aside, who the fuck builds to your biggest show of the year by having a guy literally go on TV and say, don't watch the second night of the show? And I know, like, you can say, he's just being a heel. He's saying that Randy's the only thing that matters because he's paired with Randy. But that's just bad business. Who says don't watch the show? The Pat McAfee of it all has literally been Cody sucks. Cody is why the ticket prices are down. I mean, or ticket sales are down, because that's a thing, by the way. They're probably not going to be able to announce a record-breaking year. It'll be interesting to see what language they use to skirt around that and put out a press release anyway.
The largest gate in 2026.
It'd be like, the past 2 years combined, we've broken the record for Allegiant Stadium. You know, but that being said, Orton and Cody felt like they were rushing it because in a year that has been snake bitten with injuries and, you know, uncertainties, this was your layup. All right, we'll just do Cody and Randy because it's easy, and like Randy can turn heel, and you know it'll be good enough because it's old school Randy and it's Cody. And I'm not going to get into the conspiracy theories that people are going around that, like, is Vince in the ear of TKO? Is he secretly booking? But you could definitely tell this Pat McAfee shit wasn't the idea. It started out as one thing and then just flipped so that they could get even more cross-promotion with ESPN, because that's what the people in charge think this is. It's all just cross promotion and celebrity and blah blah blah. And yes, that worked in 1985 when they needed it to explain that WWF was going beyond the territories and like this is a global thing. Don't you want to see Hulk Hogan and all that stuff? It doesn't work when you have a niche market in 2026. Who the fuck cares that Jelly Roll is going to be in the corner of Cody Rhodes? And Pat McAfee is just like legitimately annoying at this point.
Even with the celebrity side of things in general, are you going to spend $30 fucking because you're a Jelly Roll fan? Like, are you not, like, I can't picture that. I can't think of a single, I mean, I'm not tapped in the same way a lot of people are. And I know that I'm the weird one when it comes to this because most people are fucking obsessed with celebrities for some goddamn reason. But like, I can look at some other people that I know that are fans of celebrities and say like, I don't think that there's a single person. Yeah, I'll put my fucking mom is a fan of country music. I don't know what people she's particularly a fan of because I hate it all and they all sound the same. But like, my mom would not be paying to watch WrestleMania, and if she heard that some Garth Brooks or whatever was going to be on the show, she would go, "Oh, well, that's neat," and not think for a moment I should probably pay to watch that show. I can't imagine anybody being like, I listen to Pat McAfee's podcast and I really like that fucking MAGA football podcaster guy. I think I might spend $35 and watch him in this thing on pay-per-view and watch the entire show and do all that. They're not going to do that. And there's no metric, I would assume, that they can track any of this shit. So it's just a matter of like, it's sit in your left hand until it goes numb and then jerk yourself off and pretend it's somebody else because it doesn't feel like it's your normal right hand. You know what I mean? WWE is going to tell themselves that, oh, this is so much better. It's got so much more attention. Did it really? Did it earn you an extra $1, or did you just pay McAfee?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because on the one hand, I really like the fact that the two men's main events were strong enough that it finally felt like one wasn't going to haphazardly open the show. And now it's like, I don't care about this because it's been hijacked by this stupid thing that no one's interested in. And cool, Orton wins, Orton gets to 15, he can still wrestle. It's not like, oh, this is stupid. Why is Orton champion? Orton can definitely hold the title for a couple months. But why? Like, it doesn't matter as much as it would have if they just had a really passionate, strong match. I'm not interested in ref bumps. I'm not interested in jelly roll. I'm not interested in, Pat McAfee was a punter, so he's going to try to punt Cody's head off. Cody will counter. Jelly roll will spear him. And as Cody's talking shit to McAfee, turn around, RKO, 1, 2, 3. Keep
that in mind, everybody, if that follows the exact same pattern, because that probably will end up happening.
It genuinely feels like this wasn't the plan, and I don't know if they'll shoehorn it into Unreal or whatever, but this is lame, and this sucks for both of the guys, because they could be doing a better story.
Do you think we ever get Cody Rhodes in a top spot at WrestleMania ever without some fucking dumb celebrity getting involved? Travis Scott or, The Rock or whatever the fuck?
At this point, probably not. Because he's probably on borrowed time. Who's to say he's in this spot next year?
Right.
No, because Cody is Cody. Like, I know we'll obviously tie into the fact that, like, the Travis Scott involvement, not necessarily saying that he signs off on it, but when does Cody ever have many WWE Championship matches that don't have a load of bells and whistles and ref bumps, interferences, dusty finishes, all of that sort of ballyhoo as well? Like, Cody doesn't really have straight up clean wrestling matches that don't have any sort of melodrama involved in them, because that's not who Cody is, and that's not how Cody works. Especially in this match with Randy Orton, who, while can still go to a degree, is still, nearing 50 years old and can't really carry things off in the same level. I'm surprised that this match isn't no DQ already, because I just don't think that they are going to have a great match in a main event WrestleMania spot. It's like, again, I don't think it's applies as much to the other main event match we'll talk about, but it feels like a main event that's carried on aura rather than ability. Like, these two are fully professional workers, no doubt about it, but they're not dynamic, they're not exciting, they certainly don't represent the future of professional wrestling. So I'd argue they don't really even represent the present of professional wrestling. Like, they are very much like people that the back end of their career is so much more, maybe not so much for Cody, but certainly for Randy, it's so much more in the picture than it has any right to be if these are supposed to be two of your top guys. Again, it does boil down to just the issue with WWE and a lot of professional wrestling in general, where just old guys that were big in the early 2000s or late 2000s or even further back than that are just hanging around, and it just prevents the next age of wrestlers, next era of wrestlers, from really breaking out and becoming the stars that others were allowed to be, because they didn't rely so much on nostalgia and the same people over and over and over again. But I mean, the biggest issue of this is just the Pat McAfee involvement. The whole, oh, we're going to sell half-price tickets for the Saturday show because we're really struggling to sell tickets, and we want to try and build it into a storyline, and try and like wipe off the idea of, oh, why are you even going to WrestleMania Sunday? Probably because the only reason he probably said that not because like they wanted to bury the show. It's more of a case of, oh, they're actually selling tickets for this Sunday show because it's got Roman and Punk main eventing rather than this shit in the main event, rather than this shit in the main event, which nobody cares about. But yeah, it's a story that didn't need really anything other than to play on the history of Cody and Randy and talk about their shared experiences, the legacies they've had to carry, all of that stuff. But, you know, clearly that wasn't working to get people interested on night one, so they wanted to try and add this little wrinkle in to see if it did anything, and all it's done is probably make their company look even more shoddy in its booking going into the show than it had than they were even thinking so before that.
It's just so crazy to me too that like WWE will look at something like that and be like, Cody and Randy aren't pulling enough tickets, so we need to add a celebrity into there and do the whole thing with that, as opposed to thinking any one of these other options of, our tickets are too goddamn expensive and that's why people aren't paying the money for it, and or aren't there 5 other matches, 6 other matches on that show? You mean to tell me that none of them are interesting enough for these people? Well, if 7 matches are not interesting enough for people to want to tune in and to do that kind of thing, it's not on just the main event. If it's just the main event was the only thing that people are paying for, you don't need any of the other matches. And it's like, you've been a company for how many years? How many decades? You know?
Well, I mean, that is, I would say, the incorrect way. Like, it is all down to the main event. Like, the main event sells 90% of your tickets. The rest of the show is just there to, you know, is there for entertainment and to give you more extended value. But in any medium, in boxing, in UFC, anything along those lines, it's the main event sells 90% of the tickets. And so,
I would assume it's the thing that, obviously it's like the biggest factor, but like, if it's a 1-match show, then I don't think that makes the difference between most people. Like, if it's a, 7-match card, and if all the matches are interesting and the main event is particularly more interesting, that's a different story. But like, I don't know anybody that, for instance, would be in a spot where they would be considering to buy the WrestleMania card, whether it's, ESPN or to get tickets or something. Most people at this point with WrestleMania, they buy tickets without even knowing any of the matches on the show. They want to go to WrestleMania. And a lot of people buy tickets because they resell them and, all the other kind of things that go along with that. But like, I can't imagine that anybody is like, I want to see Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, or I want to see CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and nothing else is going to influence it whatsoever. And if the matches are strong enough for all the other things, then people do see enough value to it. The way that anything has more value if you have more on top of it. And if you've got 6 other matches and they can't compensate for the main event enough to make people interested in buying a ticket for that, and you've lowered the ticket prices to a, not a level that people actually would be able to buy the tickets, because that's the biggest problem, is the price of the tickets anyway. But like, theoretically, let's put it this way. Like, if some of these shows that have been on Madison Square Garden recently that I haven't gone to, like the Roadblock one, if they would have said, like, here's 10 matches and 8 of them are great, or like, I would be really interested in them, I would be more interested in a 10-match show where 8 of them are great and the main event's not my favorite than I would if it was just the main event and no, the other matches don't matter. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm different.
Yeah, I would say that you're very much in the minority of people then with that mindset. I think that most people just go for, not necessarily just go for the main event, but that is the main draw, and if that's not good enough, then they wouldn't go to that show, even if the other ones had the potential to be really good.
All you people out there that are like that, you're all crazy.
What's the star power? The reason why these people fight for the main event spot and want to be in this position is because, yes, it comes with obviously tons of benefits, but it comes with the pressure as well. Because if a show doesn't draw, it's all on you. It's not on any other match on the card or any other booking that's happened. It's all on the two guys or two girls in the main event. That's the burden that every single sport like fighting, professional fighting thing is always based upon. It's always on, is the main event a big enough draw? And this one, if they'd have booked it correctly, could have been. But I don't think that, and with the ticket prices, the reason why they're never going to change ticket prices, or at least not for the foreseeable future, is because they have been able to sell loads of tickets at the prices they are, but now they're not as hot as they were, and they can't change that factor. Or so until the executives wake up to the fact of, oh, we're not as over now with the fans as we were, and we can't charge this extortionate prices like we used to and still get sellout crowds, then they're just going to continue doing it, and they'll blame the creative and they'll blame the wrestlers on, well, you used to be able to sell these tickets, now you can't sell these tickets. So
because it's kind of like, I'm doing a lot of work in the gaming space now. It's kind of like gaming, where everyone from the companies to the players are just like, this game only has 50,000 concurrent players as opposed to 100,000. Failure. Pull the plug. Clearly, these developers should be at it. And honestly, that's probably the way that they'll look at the creative, where it'll be like, well, it's clearly your fault, because why aren't we selling our $25,000 front row seats? Honor. But in terms of what you were saying about the main event, I'll use Backlash as an example, because if Backlash puts on a compelling main event to counter the rumored tag match, I'd still like to go to Backlash, but it would depend on what the main event is. And to Tony's argument about, well, all the other matches should compensate for it, that's a catch-22 that they've been using to screw over, transitional champions for like decades now, where they'll be like, oh, this pay-per-view didn't sell. It's clearly, Punk's fault or the Miz's fault. It's, and then when Cena's champion, they'll also be like, and here's Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Wow, Cena sells so well on top.
I think it's one of those things where, in my mind, for a lot of people, it's a case like the main event is what gets you to the show. The rest of the card is what gets you to stay as a fan. It's like,
I agree.
If everything else works out well, it's like, okay, I really enjoyed this whole show and I can get hooked into it. But it's the two guys or girls or however many people in the main event that's the thing that's like, it's the deciding point between whether you actually go to the show or whether you just decide to watch it on TV or watch it later on or anything along those lines, or catch up with it, find it through social media clips or whatever. So, and yeah, I'd say the whole of night one feels, I mean, I think Randy Orton's going to win just because of the whole Pat McAfee thing. That's ruined any suspense out of the match as well, which won't help either, because there's no way they've flown Pat McAfee in for 2 weeks worth of work and then he's going to get kicked out of WWE forever. I think, oh yeah, Randy Orton's winning. They've just gotten rid of any suspense in this match. And then it makes night one just look a bit, there's a lot of stuff in there that could be good, maybe even great in the right circumstances, but it just feels quite meh. It feels like the card for a mid-tier WWE show.
I can't imagine that on the post-show for this, I'm going to be saying, how are they going to top this night? But let's go into night two. The first match of that, the part that's going to air on ESPN, Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. It's a regular singles match. They could, of course, do the typical thing that they're probably going to do with Cody and Randy, where like the referee takes a bump and then whatever, something like that, if they want to. But it could also be a 5-minute match, and it could be a show stealer, or it could be one of the biggest mistakes that they can make. I am fully just flat out, I will like this more if Obafemi wins. I will dislike this if Brock Lesnar wins. I do not, under any circumstances, want to hear any bullshit, stupid fucking arguments from WWE that they will inevitably do of Obafemi looked really strong going into WrestleMania, and he put a really good match up against a really good fight up against Brock Lesnar, and he seemed like he was going to win, and Brock Lesnar hit him with a low blow, and everybody knows that Obafemi was supposed to win the match, but Brock Lesnar technically won it. And man, at some point we might run that back, and by might we mean definitely won't. And that way we preserve Brock Lesnar for Gunther. Wait 6 months, we'll get around to that at SummerSlam. But in the meantime, we'll let Obafemi squash some people on the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania, and that'll compensate for it. Fuck you. Give Obafemi the win. Do the goddamn thing that you did with Brock. Because one of the things that worked with Brock Lesnar, from my perspective of a fan that wasn't watching at that time, but being able to retroactively look back on that, one of the things that worked was you actually gave him the wins. You didn't pussyfoot around it and do the kind of half-assed, can we have our cake and eat it too type of approach. Every fucking time that they do that, every fucking time, they shoot themselves in the foot. Like, I can think of countless examples of things that are stupid that they did that I can't imagine that there's any argument other than we just didn't want to. Like, look, Karrion Kross clearly did not work out the way that he had some potential in NXT. And it could be for all sorts of different reasons. But I would argue that one of the main reasons why that didn't work out, you had that guy go undefeated for as long as he did in NXT and kicked everyone's ass. And then you immediately put him on the roster and had him lose in like 5 seconds. That completely takes the wind out of his sails. And now you're trying to reboot the whole thing all over again. And you're giving yourself more work, and you're undoing all the work that you had done. And all the bullshit of like, yeah, but it's Brock, and Brock usually wins, and a loss against Brock does not mean that Obafemi doesn't look strong and all that. That's a big difference between actually pushing Obafemi as a next top guy type of thing versus, well, we're still hesitant about it and we don't really want to put all our eggs in that basket. If it's anything other than Obafemi wins, it's a mistake. And that's going to be the first match of the show. That's going to sour me on the entire night if they go with Brock.
This is the match that I mentioned. Yeah, I understand why this one's on ESPN proper. It's a Lesnar match. I like that he's a sports guy, sports tie-in. Obafemi needs to defeat Brock Lesnar soundly. As somebody who was watching at the time, Brock beat The Rock. He beat Hulk Hogan in like Hogan's last weekly TV match kind of deal. Like, you need to establish Obafemi as the guy. I foresee it being the, oh, he had him peed, the referee was down, or Paul Heyman did something. But you need to beat Brock Lesnar with Obafemi. And it doesn't hurt the Gunther thing, because Gunther can say, Brock is weak. It's time. I'm going to, put him out of his misery.
Mm-hmm. You're not the guy that you used to be anymore. You lost to WrestleMania. I'm going to put you out the pasture.
They got 2 matches on ESPN. And both of these matches need to set up the future. And I think that starts with Obafemi beating Brock Lesnar. And I'm not going to be as sour as Tony, just because different makeups like that just won't be able to hit that mark. But it will be a really crummy way to start the show, especially depending on the kind of match they have. Because if it's like Obafemi gets a couple of strong moves in and then Suplex City F5, kick out, F5, kick out, a third F5 win, like, Ooh, I don't know, man. You know, just do the right thing. Strap the rocket to the new guy. You know Brock is out the door for many reasons. Like, just strap the rocket to the new guy. Use Brock at this stage in his career for what he's good for. I will say this. This is the one match I have loved everything they've done. Every time these two are on screen, the place is going crazy, and people are excited for Oba. They have a star. Do the right thing and put Obafemi over.
So, just for like my own humor and my own like enjoyment and like dislike of this entire company and regime, there's nothing I want more than Brock Lesnar to beat Obafemi. just to see it, just to see the world implode around me as it happens, because this match feels like it's more important than anything on the show. This could shape the future of like a top guy for your company, could shape the trajectory that your company, your creative, your main event scene for the next 5-10 years around this one match and how you approach this one match. Because if they do have Brock beat Obafemi, then Obafemi might get up to a certain level, but he'll never get to the level that. And then they'll look at it and say, "Why did he never reach that level?" It's because, well, you decided to have him lose to Brock Lesnar at one time, like when he was really starting out and starting to get some momentum. You immediately cut the legs out from him and said that he's great, but he's still not at the level of this guy.
He's
Whereas
not the
this is
Attitude Era.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as I say, this is a big opportunity, and for many fans, and probably a lot of the attending fans that will be there, because they're the ones that are going to be so heavily invested and probably be a big fan of someone like Obafemi, like to immediately send the message by having Brock win, that will probably take the wind out of sails for the fans for the majority of the show, if not at least for like an hour or so beyond that, because they'll just be going, that sucked. Like, I've always felt like occasionally when I've been like attending shows live, and if there's one match that I really wanted something to happen and the opposite happens, I just go, I guess I'm not gonna cheer or get excited for the next X number of minutes until something else that catches my eye comes on.
Yeah, it ruins the buzz for it, and
yeah, especially this being the opener of the show.
I was just gonna say it'll piss all over it, which is good phrasing for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I made sure not to say piss when talking about this.
I'll be pissed off and not pissed on. Yeah.
But the opener is the tone setter. So if you set it out with the idea of, hey, this old guy is still way better than this new guy that you've all been getting behind, and it's not far-fetched to say that that's what they're going to do, because history has shown us that, and maybe that's everything. Maybe this has been the perfect opportunity. All the stars have aligned for them to finally go against the whole, well, he's Brock, and so Brock's got to win mantra, and they decide to go in the opposite direction. But it does just strike me as the perfect, like in any, don't care if it's Triple H, Vince, anybody like that in this situation, it does strike me as, well, Brock could win here, but then we could have Oba win at Backlash. And then it's kind of as good, right? And
I just don't think that they'll even do that, too. I think that they've shown way too many times in the past where they're like, we could follow this up in the future. We don't have any immediate plans for it, but we can get around to it. And then they don't, and then they go, yeah, well, plans changed, and you just roll with it. Because so many times it's like, let's take the belt off of that person. They can win it down the line. 5 years later, they're like, it just didn't work out. And I am 100% assuming, I'm going to go full-blown cynical here. Brock wins. They never have a rematch. And they just tell everybody, be okay with it. We're going to have Obafemi squash other people. As if it's going to matter at all that Obafemi beats fucking... I don't know, whoever on Monday Night Raw. Oh, that'll make him look so much better because he'll actually destroy Rusev or something. And who gives a shit? He didn't beat Brock.
As much as I would like to be like cynical and just enjoy and revel in the anger that everyone would feel to having Brock Lesnar win, this feels to me like one of those situations where like the right winner is so obvious that they're just going to do it. Like,
I hope so.
It's not like, because it feels like, that sort of like WrestleMania 35 scenario that we always go back to. It's like you had 3 winners that you had to crown, they did it all in the same night. They had Rollins win, they had Kofi win, they had Becky win. So, and this one feels in the same realm of, this is just completely obvious, there's only one result you can do here. So, like, I don't think it's one of those ones where I think it's just so obvious that they won't get in their own way for this one.
My fear is that they're putting this on first because they plan on it being a disappointment and then go, okay, well, everybody's upset about that, but these 6 guys are going to flip around in the ladder match. And now you're going to be distracted,
I think it's going on first because Brock always goes on first when he's not in the main event.
You think it's more so that he'll just like leave right afterward?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to have an early night afterwards. Just going to head straight back home as soon as his match is done. He's going to walk through the curtain, like say thanks for everything, Hunter, and then just head back. Like he'll be back in his living room before the show's over.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it's early for us and it's in Vegas, so it's gonna be like 3:00 in the afternoon, maybe 3:30 by the time he's walking through the curtain. He'll be out quickly. The one thing that has me concerned that Oba might lose is that they have set up, because Paul Heyman is the main character, he did basically say, hey, I'll manage you in the future. Like, if you lose to Brock, I still think you're great and I'll manage you. But Oba needs to win, and I think it's an even worse precedent to set if your main event of night 1 is this era sucks, Attitude Era was better, even though Randy wasn't Attitude Era. But this era sucks, old guy wins, followed by young guy not ready, old guy wins again.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sets a really bad tone. And like I said, they have the opportunity to make a new generation with these first 2 matches, and I need to see it come through.
I'm saying Brock wins, and I'll be disappointed.
I'm gonna
Ultimate
say Oba.
picks, what you guys have?
I'm gonna say Oba.
Yeah, I will win. Yeah.
I really hope I'm fucking wrong about that. The other match is happening on night 2's ESPN free hour thing, 6-pack ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship on the men's side for that belt. Penta going in as champion, defending against Rey Mysterio, who was added at like the last minute. Rusev, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, and the guy that I think should win if it's not Penta, Javon Evans. And this match has been built in a very weird way. There are people that should be involved in this that aren't, like Kofi Kingston and the Americanos. Rusev just randomly got thrown in there. There's the whole main event bullshit of like, hey, everybody, remember that show exists that we've pretended has not existed for 20 years? Well, there you go. The matches happened there, and some of them happened a month ago, and all this other kind of shit. I am very confused about why a Carmelo Hayes is not on this show, but JD McDonough is, or like, they got Dragon Lee in here. He had a little bit of a thing with Penta and stuff. Like, yeah, sure, to go with that. But I predominantly just look at this as they looked at the Raw roster. They said, let's just throw a couple people in there. They'll do flippy stuff. They'll have fun. Ladder matches are a lot of fun. A lot of these guys are talented as all hell. They'll put on a good show. And I think the only 2 real outcomes that could happen here are Penta and Evans. I'm leaning more towards Penta retaining. And I think that could be another one of those scenarios of like, Javon is like so close to winning it, but then somebody screws him over or whatever. Maybe Kofi. Maybe not. But I think
it should be a heel that wins. And like, do you give it to a McDonough just for storyline purposes of like, oh, because Javon was so close so we could tell that story? Because you don't want to boo Penta and be like, oh, Javon was so close, but Penta got him.
Yeah.
There's a third outcome though, and it's for everything I just said, I think the worst two outcomes on ESPN would be if Brock wins and Rey Mysterio wins. And I love Rey Mysterio. But boy, does that send the wrong message. And I'm all about building the new generation, and you have to fucking put Javon Evans over here. We gotta come out of this show being like, Oba's the man. Javon's here, and he's gonna have fun with the IC title. There's a new US champ. Like, this is the show where you go, we promise we're focusing on the future. We promise we're focusing on other people. And Javon Evans should win. Because, yeah, he's going to have fun, and he's going to bounce around. But, damn it, I want to see him actually win something.
Yeah. In this scenario, you're right that realistically it should be someone like Javon Evans getting the victory, or Penta could retain because Penta's been doing well with the title, just been a fighting champion, defending it practically every week. But this one, I feel far more confident in saying Rey Mysterio is probably very likely to win, just because he threw him in at the last minute, and he's like he's everyone's hero, and everyone wants to see him win big things still at his age. So I'd say I don't think it's like an absolute certainty, but if I was a betting man for this one, I probably would put a decent amount of money on Mysterio to win. Just because otherwise you would have just gone with 5. There's no reason to throw him in other than make him like a really big red herring, or a really small red herring in his case. But I was looking up as well, to see like Rusev's stat, because like the match they had this week on Raw, that tag match they had in like the prelude to this, was only his second match on Raw all year, and he's in this match, whereas loads of other people that could have been in this match aren't.
It's crazy.
Yeah, just like clearly they feel like he's valuable then because they put him on a WrestleMania show, but it's not valuable enough to actually appear on any show in the week.
But he's such a textbook example of somebody that should be in the Andre instead.
But yeah, but as I say, the right choice is to have Javon win. At the very least, have Penta retain. But I think Mysterio is going to win the title.
We're all in agreement Javon should win. If not, then probably keep it on Penta. But we're all in agreement that if they're going to give it to somebody else or whatever, it's going to be disappointing, and that might end up being Rey Mysterio just to, just fuck around, I guess.
Just for fun, I will bring up the fact that they have been caring about Dragon Lee a lot randomly. So maybe he's a sleeper choice. The only people I feel confident probably won't win are JD and Rusev.
I don't put a whole lot of stock in Dragon Lee winning. I think that he's one of those guys that they like, but they like enough that he won't ever break through that ceiling that they have of just, we like to see this guy wrestle, kind of. That's one belt that could change hands. Another one is Jade Cargill defending the WWE Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley, which of course was not their original plan. It was very obviously going to be Bianca Belair against Jade Cargill instead. I'm a little 50-50 on this, but if I have to lean one way towards the other, I would probably go with Jade retains. And I don't necessarily think that's for any particular reason other than that they might want to continue to keep the belt on Jade and then hope by the time that Bianca is ready that they could just do that match again. Whether that's at SummerSlam all the way or
Bianca
something else.
Hasn't appeared in a year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I don't even know where she's at in her physical therapy. Like, after the Royal Rumble, Bianca comes back when she comes back, and I hope she comes back healthy. This is the biggest test of Rhea Ripley's top-tier career because they're putting a lot on her, and she's basically being tasked with carrying Jade through WrestleMania.
Yeah. And this feud's been, blah.
All of her other matches, you think about it, you think Charlotte, even in the PC, Asuka, there was that one off with the tag thing, but Rhea Ripley is usually put up against great wrestlers or big names. Here, you're the star, now carry her. And honestly, if I had my way, Rhea Ripley's winning just to move on with her, do something with her on SmackDown, move the belt off of Jade, create the illusion of like, oh, it's a fresh new start because Rhea Ripley's on SmackDown. I think there's more you can do there, and
that's my preference too.
If Jade wins, what do you do? So I'm gonna say Rhea Ripley wins, and I'm very curious to see how this match comes out because I'll say the build for this, I was excited for 2 seconds, and then I saw the first promo they did, which basically equated to mine are bigger than yours, referring to their muscles, but it was literally like, oh, you think your muscles are big, but mine are. It's like, okay, you got nothing, and then you had Michin and BFAB join Jade just so Rhea could beat people up.
Yeah. And the justification for it was it happened.
Yeah, not super solid. So I'm hoping Rhea Ripley wins here, and I'd be excited for her future on SmackDown.
But now you're hoping she wins. Does that mean that you think she's winning?
Yeah.
So a vote for Jade on my end of I think she's winning. A vote for Rhea. What about you, Callum? Title change or not?
I mean, I don't know whether that's even like. Well, I guess it's relevant, but it's to the point of I'm just more fascinated. Not fascinated enough to actually watch this show, but like fascinated to see the reaction to this match because I have everything on paper suggests this is going to be an absolute train wreck. Because Jade is still incredibly green and can only wrestle to a certain level and extent. Rhea Ripley doesn't really wrestle a lot of singles matches anymore, and she hasn't done for a while.
Rollins and Gunther, if you're a top star, you don't work.
Yeah. So, and fundamentally, like these two have approached this feud seeming like they'd rather be doing anything else than having a feud for this title on this show. Jade would rather be wrestling someone like Charlotte or Bianca. Rhea would rather be teaming with EO for the tag titles instead. So they're two people that seemingly don't have any interest in this match, don't have any interest in each other, and I feel like I don't think Rhea would necessarily try and give a lackluster performance because I think she understands the place that she's in and she's always been very dependable. But if there's anybody that she would maybe not give her 100% in a match against, it would probably be in this particular situation. But it also feels like, with all that stuff against it, then the expectations for this match are so low that maybe they can only exceed them. And they can only say, like, it's actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Doesn't necessarily mean it's great, but it's like, I'm expecting it to be absolute dog shit, and it's actually, like, just regular shit instead. So, but yeah, I think Jade will retain. I don't know what's really telling me to go and lean on that way than the other, but I just don't feel like they're going to take the title off Jade until Bianca's back.
Same here. Unfortunately. And we've got the Sami Zayn and Trick Williams United States title match. I already talked about how I think that it's a shame that they took the belt off of Carmelo Hayes and that they didn't have anything following up with that. They almost basically did the double turn already on SmackDown. So the only thing I could imagine happening here is that they want to drag this out a little bit further, even. And while Trick will go out there and he'll get a big pop, and Lil Yachty will be out there being like, "Hey, motherfucker," because his fucking voice is not at all helping out with this. I think we're looking at a scenario where Sami Zayn is going to cheat to retain the title, and the whole committee of writers, like Michael P.S. Hayes and all that, are all like, "Well, that'll get him heat. He'll cheat, and then everybody will be mad, and then it'll go into SmackDown, and then we'll do another match, Backlash, and that's when Trick will win the title."
I think they'll probably just go with Trick winning here. It does feel like I don't know what this whole situation with Sammy is, both just from not watching, but even if I was watching, I'd feel confused about where he stands and where anybody stands in this whole situation, because realistically he should be a heel, but Trick doesn't feel like he should be a babyface just yet. I don't think he's earned it from a kayfabe perspective to just be a babyface, beyond the fact that, like, oh, Sammy's just robbed some people the wrong way and he's acting very petulant, so Trick has to become a babyface. Like, well, Trick's just, like, he's over with the crowd, but he's not done anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those situations where he's gone over with the crowd organically, but he's not done anything to actually, in character, make him a babyface. So
yeah, the closest thing he's done was he had a thing on this episode of SmackDown or whatever when he was saying to Mello of like, hey, I was expecting that you and I could have a match at Mania. And that was like a moment of him being like more, not quite babyface, but like babyface-esque, you know? Like they haven't fully done the turn yet, for sure.
yeah, because like you just saying that, I'd say haven't seen it, so I don't know like the context or how he said it, but it makes you feel like, oh, that's a bit of a dickish thing to say. Like, oh, you're expecting him to be at WrestleMania and now he's not, so ha ha ha. But yeah, I think they'll crown Trick here, because it's one of those ones where if it was for a more significant title, I would say they wouldn't do it. But this is a title that changes hands not fairly often, but it's become synonymous with these open challenges and like regular title matches. So it wouldn't surprise me at all that like they just decide to put Sammy in it because they feel like he's a bigger name to drop the title to Trick. So, yeah.
Any thoughts on this, Rob? I think you're muted.
My thoughts on this
There you
are Trick Williams should win here. Sami Zayn should have been in a higher spot. I genuinely believed this time last year that he would be the guy dethroning Rollins for the world title. And people hate Sami Zayn now, and I don't know why. But I guess we'll see how this double turn goes for them. Shout out to Trick. Like I said, make the new generation. I think Sami Zayn got robbed, but you know, that is what it is.
At the end of the day, this needs to be a thing about pushing Trick more than anything else. So that's why I think it's like they're gonna botch it. I hope I'm wrong, but that match is one of the ones that I'm more interested in to a certain extent. I can't say I'm as super duper excited about Finn Balor against Dominic Mysterio, but at least they're doing one good thing here and doing the demon gimmick again. And Dom, sorry everybody, Dom having his whole like, I don't want to have a match against the demon version of Finn Balor. Can I try to get out of it? You know, like it's gonna get a pop. People are gonna be interested. So Demon Balor needs to win, obviously, and Dom being who he is, they could end up having a pretty fun match.
Yeah, it's not even like as a negative to either guy, because I think they both have a lot of quality to them. But it's a case of like you're doing this and you can get Io Sky on the show.
Yeah, these two should have been in the IC title match, I think.
Well, they should have been the IC title match, for, like, but the whole thing is just like the gimmick around the demon coming back. Oh, the demon's back again. For like until he goes away again for a while, and then you water down Finn Balor so much that you have to bring out the demon to add a little bit of excitement to it. But yeah, I think that this is, I'd say it'll be fine, but I've just got really very little to say about it. It's all just built around Balor's alter ego returning, and so other than that, it just feels pretty like with the demons. Like the aura surrounding it and the way they've treated it in the past, like this match realistically shouldn't be going more than a couple of minutes with the demon winning, but they'll stretch it out, and so it'll just mean the demon feels even more like flat-footed and no one cares about it as much even more, because it just leads to, Finn Balor just having a regular match with demon paint on.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what the gimmick is. I've been saying
They
that
have done
since
things
the beginning of it. You know, it's just
They
the
have
same
done-
entrance. You know,
They have done things in the past where they've had like him win matches like really quickly with that, or they have had it where it's only been reserved for more like physical extreme matches where he's had to exert himself a lot more. But this one is going to feel like, oh yeah, he's just having a normal match with Dominic Mysterio, but he's wearing his demon gear, and he'll win in like, I don't know, 10 minutes or whatever.
I mean, if the turnbuckle doesn't collapse, right?
Oh yeah, oh now I remember why this gimmick died.
Yeah, that was the last time we saw it.
Yeah.
It was the fish out of water moment with Roman where he's just like flopping on the ground. So that wasn't actually the last demon moment. That was the last babyface demon moment. But the last time, it's been 3 years because it was the Hell in a Cell with Edge at Mania 39. Yeah, I think this is fine. I feel like I'm a lot more understanding of why these guys are on the card than you guys, because I thought this would be the IC title match at one point, where Dom would just, drop the title in quick fashion to Demon Finn. I do think Demon Finn should squash him. As much as I like Dom, I think it only makes sense for the return of the gimmick to do that. But they probably won't, just so that Dom can get a chance to shine at Mania. Either way, Demon wins. This is probably the one match on the card that's like easy to predict because Demon Balor's going to win.
I can't see any scenario where Demon Balor loses, or at least any that would make any sense to me. Like, why? You know. But that is going to be potentially the runner-up match to the main event. I don't know for sure how they're going to position this card, but there's only one more match for us to talk about, and that is the main event of itself, the World Heavyweight Championship match between CM Punk and Roman Reigns, which I will fully admit the differences and the same perspectives that I have. I said going into this, I did not want to see these two up against each other. I did not want a repeat of what we had for last year, and I still maintain that that is something that I'm not a big fan of. But they've had great promos. This most recent one being the worst of them, though. You know, the one that is supposed to be like the real seller is the one that, they fall flat on. But great promos for a match that I'm not all that interested in seeing. I still think they should have gone in any number of other directions other than to just repeat these same two people against each other, basically having the same story as the last time for their element of it. Because if you take Seth Rollins out of the mix and you take out the whole Paul Heyman element, the only thing that was being said last year was, I don't like you, CM Punk, for these reasons that we're going to get into a year later again. And Punk being like, here's the criticisms of Roman being on top and all that stuff. So they basically just did a repeat. And, they did it a little bit more focused and a little bit more intense between the two of them because Rollins wasn't there. But it's a repeat. And as much as you want to make the argument of like they're the two big stars and the name and the marquee and all that, this isn't what I would have done. I don't think it's going to be the best match. I'm not interested particularly in either scenario happening. If Punk retains, who does he go up against next? And what do you do with Roman? If Roman wins, I'm basically just going to be like, okay, well, are they going to go back to the plot that they had before? Because wasn't the original plan supposedly Seth is going to go in as champion, Roman's going to beat him, and then at SummerSlam, Braun Breaker is going to beat Roman? It's probably going to be the same thing. So then I'll basically just be like, all right, well, then Roman won't do anything until August or whenever SummerSlam is. He'll be on every fourth week, and they'll advertise it as, oh my God, on Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns returns. Okay. So I'm not excited in that range, but if it's going to appeal to other people, maybe I'm the oddball out.
You are 1,000% accurate in how you feel. But I will say that if I had your viewpoints and your predictions, I would not be looking forward to the show whatsoever because half of your predictions have been, I'm going to be sad.
Yeah.
So,
It's hard for me to get excited for it, yeah.
I mean, and I can agree with that, but I also, the build to this match was fantastic. I completely disagree that this is just what they did last year. Because last year, Rollins or No was all about who does Paul Heyman love more? And oh my god, Punk needs to be in a closing match at WrestleMania. This was a lot more just based on the vitriol between them. And I have loved the promos. And I did like last night's. I liked the opening video package where Roman laid out all of why Punk is a hypocrite. And then I liked the closing segment where they kind of just said, all right, last words. Here's the truth. I'm jealous of you because you got to do everything I dreamed of. And then Roman says, I'm jealous of you because no matter what the fuck you do, these people like you. Now that we've got the honesty out of the way, we're gonna fucking kick each other's asses at WrestleMania. I think Roman wins here. I wouldn't be surprised if Punk pulled it out, but I think Roman wins, and I think Gunther's next for him. But maybe we see a Bloodline return, because Jimmy and Jay were part of the storyline at first.
Yeah, I think if this match hadn't been booked and isn't taking place, then this WrestleMania would be looked on far more poorly than it's going to be right now. Not that like everyone's like super excited about it, but I feel like this is the only real major draw to this entire event, which is why the second night of WrestleMania hasn't needed to do this gimmicky it's half price thing because everyone's excited to see this match above all else. I think they've both done excellent work building up to it, especially Punk, because Punk's had to be there every single week as well, for the most part. And he's been doing some excellent promo work. I don't like the fact that he's needed to be necessarily distracted by the stupid him making comments on the Pat McAfee stuff and everything like that, because I think his full focus should just be on the Roman stuff. But yeah, I feel like they are. This feels like the most pro wrestling angle going into this pro wrestling show. So I don't know how great the match will be because I think they'll have a very like professional worked match. This might be a match where we can finally get to see Roman be in a single thing and wrestle more of his old style rather than like the newfound stuff that he used to do where it's when he was a heel for as long as he was, where it was always so boring and pedestrian. He would walk around a lot and talk to the camera or talk to the fans or whatever. Hopefully this is just more of a more classic Roman Reigns thing now that he's more established as a babyface or a tweener, and Punk can basically play both roles well as like can switch between the heel and babyface dynamics of the match as well. So yeah, I think that it will be a good match. I think it'll be the better of the two main events just because of the whole Pat McAfee and the shadow, the other elements that are overshadowing the other main event, and will mean that this night leaves the crowd a little bit happier than the alternative. And I think that Roman will win the title.
Do you think that there will be any Bloodline involvement?
I mean,
I'm going to say no on my end.
Yeah, I'll say no for the most part. No, yeah, I'd say no for this, and the Bloodline stuff will come later.
Yeah, because they were heavy involved at first, but they did kind of, once they set up the IShowSpeed thing, they tapered off on the Usos involvement. I prefer no Bloodline, and just whatever happens. I would be shocked if Punk wins, Although I would admit that's probably the more interesting outcome to me because it feels like such a foregone conclusion that it's Roman. But I guess we'll see.
I think that the bloodline stuff mostly was put out there because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they were just like throwing any kind of storyline stuff at the wall. Because, I mean, you look at most of the things that they've done over the past month or two, so much of it just changed on a dime. Of like, how many weeks ago was it that Sami Zayn was arguing with Cody Rhodes over the title, you know? And he's not a factor at all in this random jelly roll, Danhausen, Pat McAfee, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton thing. I mean, shit, Danhausen alone, he's got like 7 feuds going on right now. So I think that they're just like throwing stuff at the wall. And I don't think that the bloodline stuff's coming back, but I think that in their minds, if they don't have anything that they're interested in, they just like break glass in case of emergency, throw out the bloodline. Oh, I got people talking. Bloodline. You remember Bloodline, everybody? Like that kind of thing. So, maybe I'm wrong, but I do fully expect Roman Reigns is going to win this belt.
I agree, and I think he'll use it to, like, it'll become the top belt in the company.
I think it's going to kind of be in that scenario. I'll put it this way. I think that they're going to be like, that's the specialty best belt. And then they're going to use that in their minds to justify why it's not going to appear all the time. And then that'll hurt it.
I haven't been keeping up with the interviews, but I still remember last year covering Roman saying his contract was expiring relatively soon after this Mania.
I'd be interested. I'd be more interested if Punk retains than if Roman wins, if not just for that scenario. Of course, we're not going to know until it happens, and this weekend, both nights will be starting at 3 p.m. Eastern for the pre-shows, which basically means you don't need to watch anything until 6 p.m. First hour is on the ESPN things.
Didn't bring that up, and John Cena's the host.
Oh, yeah, he's the host. He won't do anything. Realistically, he's just, everybody, welcome to WrestleMania. Oh, man, it's so great to be here. 40,000 people are here instead of 70. Maybe he gives an F5 to somebody. I don't know who, but, Miz
F5.
or someone. Or not the F5, but a few. Attitude adjustment. There you go. Yeah, I'm not really particularly excited for this year's WrestleMania compared to plenty other years, but there's always a chance that it can end up being a good show, and we'll talk about whether or not that was the case on the post shows immediately following both of those nights, Saturday and Sunday. We do have one episode happening in the meantime of the hot tags, though, so we will talk about anything that might change in the meantime. We'll talk about our predictions for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We'll run down some Club WWE stuff, some things that happen on NXT Revenge, which is happening tonight in a couple hours, and the AEW Spring Breakthrough stuff that is happening on Wednesday. Everything like that. Stay tuned for it, and make sure that you are following smark@moment.com and everything that you can find at amangotree.com for all the link tree lists. Share your support for Fanboys Anonymous as well. Share your support for any of my stuff on anthonymango.com, and make sure you're following Robin Callan too.
Yep, follow me over at Dude Felice and check out Insider Gaming if you're curious about what I've got going on outside of this.
You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky with Meister14. Check out the Power Rankings over on smartcommand.com, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And this is the final week of this season of the Fantasy League, so head on over to WWEFantasyLeague.com to see how our rosters are performing and who is in the best shape heading into the final show of the year.
Now, I am going to double check and see if there's anything that could be worth...
Did agree that if Oba Femi beats Brock Lesnar, I get a bajillion points and I win the game?
My current team right now is Dom, who is most likely going to lose. Jey Uso, who I think is going to win. Stephanie, who is going to lose most likely. Austin Theory, who I think is going to lose. JC Jane, who already dropped her belt. Brock Lesnar, who I'm hoping will lose. Lola Vice, who's not competing. Javon Evans, who more than likely is probably going to lose. Soroka, who's not in this, Logan Paul, who I think is going to lose, CM Punk, who I think is going to lose, and Sami Zayn, who I think has a good chance of losing, but might retain. So I'm going to earn like no points with this team, which makes me...
It's a good thing you won the contest like 6 months ago.
Since we do have available trades, I think I'm going to go ahead and just do that. I'm going to drop JC Jane and put in... Does anybody have Jimmy Uso? No. I'll put Jimmy Uso in there. I'll drop...
I would... I mean, it might seem like much this now, but usually when make trades, it'd be a case of you have to make trades before the week starts because I won't count points until.
I mean, if that's the case,
we're locked until WrestleMania now.
Then it is what it is. But yeah, we'll see how those points all end up tallying up.
Wow, there were some weeks that I did not get a lot of points. I'm looking at this sheet now. There was. I guess, what happened to me was I grabbed Rusev and Aleister Black thinking that WWE would actually use them, and then I forgot to trade them out.
Well, we'll do a breakdown of like who were the highest scoring little bits and pieces of each person's roster at some point. We're not going to have all the information at the end of WrestleMania just to be able to go straight into that or whatever, but yeah, we'll circle back to it at some point, but Fantasy League is another element of this too. And of course, so on with the rest of WrestleMania. And we want to know what you guys have to say. So drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Stay tuned for the hot tags that are going to be coming up next. And stay tuned for the post shows immediately following on Saturday and Sunday. So whether it's hanging out on smarkmmo.com or on the live chat or on the Discord server, whatever, have a fun WrestleMania week. Check out NXT Revenge tonight, and we will be talking to you next time around on Friday with the hot tags. But adios for now, everybody. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.